This is the story of when God decided to make it rain.
It's about to go down.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Alpha and Omega Exponent. My name is Parfait, and today is another story time of Genesis chapter 7. So, a little background. In the previous story in chapter 6, we saw that God was angry because of all the wickedness and evilness that was happening on all the earth. But he saw a righteous man whose name was Noah, and he told that man to build an ark. And so in this story, this is the story of when God decided to make it rain. So let us begin. In the beginning of the story, in verse 1, it says, this is God speaking to Noah, and he told Noah, he said, "Go into the ark, you and all your household, for I have seen that you are righteous before me in this generation." So God gave to Noah a command to go into this ark that he built because this man was righteous. And why did God told him to go into the ark? Because he was going to make it rain and he was going to wipe out everybody and all the creatures on the earth. In this story, the lesson and the message that we take away here is that God sees our righteousness and also our evilness. So as people, whatever we're doing, if we're doing the right things, God is seeing it. If we're doing the wrong thing, you best believe God is also seeing the wrong thing that we are doing. So we cannot hide from God. The most important thing that we can do is to live a righteous life in the eyes of God. And when we're righteous in the eyes of God, God will want to speak to us just like he did to Noah. When we're living a righteous life, God will want to communicate to us. And he will also want to give us the direction that we need in order to move forward in whatever we're trying to do or accomplish in our life. In verse 2, God is speaking to Noah, and he says to him, "Go into the ark with your family, and also in this ark, take with you 7 pairs of all clean animals and 1 pair of animals that are not clean." So the message behind this command that God was giving to Noah that we can take for ourselves is that there's plenty of space reserved for the clean and only very little space for those who are not clean. So in our life, we have to walk a life that is a reflection of being clean, that is a reflection of being pure, because that is how God will preserve plenty of space for us. When we are living a life that is not pure, that is not clean, there's only going to be very little space reserved for us. The abundance of those who are clean before God will always continue to increase. Moving forward in the story, before God made it rain, Noah collected all the animals that God told him to take. So he took his wife, he took his sons and their wives, and they went into the ark. And after they were in the ark, as the 7th day came about, God made it rain for 40 days and 40 nights. And it says here in verse 17 going forward that the waters prevailed on the earth for 150 days. So after it was raining for 40 days, the water was also on the earth for 150 days. So that's almost 5 months, and the whole earth was covered in water, even mountains. It says here, and in verse 20 it says here, mountains, all the mountains were covering them by 15 cubits deep. That's almost, think of a mountain, the highest mountain peak that you can think about, and that is covered in water almost above the highest peak, over 20 feet above the peak of a mountain. So it was so destroying that every living creature that was on the earth were destroyed except for those who were in the ark with Noah. And so all flesh, all creatures, and all mankind died. So what do we take from this lesson is that God, he who made and created everything, he also has the power to destroy everything. And so it's important for us to grow in righteousness and not in corruption. So to grow in righteousness, how do we do that? We do that by doing the will of God, because God will bless us for our righteousness and not for our sins. If we think we're sinning and then God will bless us for our sin, then we are deceiving ourselves. God will bless us for our righteousness and not for our sin. And so our obedience to God is for our own goodness, so that God can get the glory and we can fulfill the purpose that He has given us. So the final message of this story is that when we do what is right in the eyes of God, we will be justified in the eyes of men. But if we do what is right in the eyes of men, but it's wrong in the eyes of God, we will suffer the consequences of the judgment of God. So overall, we need to walk a life of doing things that is right in the eyes of God, because that's how we are blessed. That's how God will continue to provide His direction for our life, and that's how God will continue to always lead us in the right way. So that's it. I hope that this story was informative and added value to your life. My name is Parfait. I see you all in the next video.